So I begin, as here our author does, quoting from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Say, are those who know equal to those who know not? Essentially, can you compare the knowledgeable with the ignorant? Of course not. They are of varying degrees, some better than others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. That it is Allah that raises among you those who believe and those who obtain knowledge. He raises them in degree, one over the other. So you are distinguished one from the other by way of your iman, your strength of your iman, and by way of your knowledge. Those that are more knowledgeable have a higher level over the others. Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, great companion of the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the scholars, they are levels above the believers. Right? The mu'minun. And mu'minun they're up there, above al-muslimun. Okay? So your average Muslim, and then the believer, al-mu'min, is above the average Muslim. And then the scholars are farther, even so, above that. He says by 700 degrees. مَا بَيْنَ دَرَجَتَيْنِ, between each degree is the distance of a 500-year journey. And this is how much they valued knowledge in the early generations of the Prophet ﷺ and those that followed suit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Those who truly have khashya, reverential fear of Allah, they are those in the know, those that possess knowledge. Without knowledge, you don't know why you should have reverential fear, why you should be devoted, why you should be concerned. If you don't know who it is you're worshiping or devoted to, or where it is that you'll end up in the hereafter, well, then you will be wandering through this life lost. In Sahih Bukhari wa Muslim, a hadith reported on Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan radiallahu anhu, he heard the Prophet ﷺ say that whoever Allah desires good for will grant him understanding of the faith. When Allah wants good for you, He'll give you understanding of your religion. Okay? Note the desire of good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He gives from His servants those that possess knowledge, as opposed to any other thing. Right? Other things are largely worldly in nature, whether that be family, spouse, offspring, job, riches, fame, position, authority. All of that stuff is worldly in nature, whereas knowledge, the knowledge of faith, the knowledge of Allah, the awareness of the sublime, the divine, is out of this world. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, "Ad-dunya mal'una," that the world is cursed. وَمَا فِيهَا, and everything in it, إِلَّا عَالِمٌ, except for the knowledgeable, or muta'allimun, the one who is learning, and also the remembrance of Allah. So these are the things that are sacred of this world: the scholar, the student, and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was reported on Abu Umama radiallahu anhu that it was mentioned to the Prophet ﷺ two men. One of them was a devout worshiper, and the other was a scholar. Great qualities: devout worship and scholarly pursuit. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the virtue of the scholar over the devout worshiper is like my virtue over the least of you. Comparing the scholar to himself, the Prophet ﷺ, his primary role was to teach, was to guide mankind. It was to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so he's saying that the one who knows, the scholar, in comparison to the one that is a mere worshiper is like the Prophet ﷺ in comparison to the least of the faithful. The Prophet ﷺ, then he said that Allah subhanahu and the angels, the dwellers of the heavens and the earth, so much so that the ant in their hole in the ground and the fish in the sea, la yusalluna ala muallim an-nas al-khair, they pray for one who teaches people righteousness. Allah, the angels, those that dwell in the heavens, those that dwell upon the earth, and all of the creatures, they pray, yusalluna ala muallim an-nas al-khair, those that teach mankind righteousness. It's reported in Sunnah Tirmidhi, an authentic hadith. Another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ was reported to said, فَضْلُ الْعَالِمْ عَلَى الْعَابِدِ, that the virtue of the scholar over the mere worshipper is like the virtue of the full moon on a clear night in comparison to the rest of the stars. So when you look into the night sky, it's clear, it's crisp, it's black, there's no clouds, and the moon is at its fullest. When you look up there, what comes to your eye first? There's millions of stars in the sky, but the first thing that you see, that which draws your attention, is that bright, beautiful moon. And the moon serves many things at night. It provides light, it provides direction, it provides a sense of time for the days, for the months. So it does guide those that look upon it. And of course, that does not detract from the value of the stars. Those are like the worshipers. The value of the stars, there is very much a value in them. Not only are they very beautiful to look at, much like someone who's a devoted worshiper, who's someone devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's worship, it's a very beautiful thing to see. Someone that's dedicated their life to prayer and to fasting, to giving charity, to being a righteous and upright person is a very beautiful thing to see. And they can guide those around them through example. But the extent of their benefit stops there in general. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. They're the inheritors of the prophets. For the prophets, they did not leave behind any wealth of monetary value, gold nor silver, but they left behind knowledge. And whoever takes a portion of that inheritance has inherited something amazing. And there are numerous rewards for knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the angels, they lower their wings for the student of knowledge, pleased with what they are seeking. And it's reported by Imam Ahmad and Ibn Majah. One of the greats of the past, Imam al-Khattabi, he explained what that means. What does it mean for the angels to lower their wings? What does that mean? What does it represent? He said there are three meanings, three possible meanings. One is that it is a physical lowering of the wings. Right? It's to spread them out and to lower them. The next is that it means it's a sign of humility. They're showing humility for the student or the seeker of knowledge. Imagine an angel humbling themselves for you as you are learning about your faith. They're showing humility to you because what you're doing is something grand, something magnificent. And then also, it could mean that they are actually lowering their wings in order to cease flight. As the angels, they have wings and they fly, and so lowering them means that they stop flying and they come down to sit among the students and to gather with them in the circles of remembrance. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever traverses the path of knowledge, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make his path to paradise easy. Reported in Sahih Muslim. It's also reported that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that whoever is overtaken by death while they are seeking knowledge, in order to enliven the religion, meaning in order to spread Islam, then there will be nothing between him and the prophets in paradise except for one level. That will be your status and your rank. That in paradise, in paradise is darajat. Paradise is numerous levels, right? And the levels, they have sub-levels, okay? So there's like the 7 heavens, if you will. And then you have various levels within those, okay? So the person who dedicates their life to seeking knowledge, and basically they die while they're still in that pursuit. I mean, they've spent their life's work has been learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, learning about their faith. Then the reward or the status will be that in paradise, the only thing separating them and the prophets, al-Anbiya, is one level. You will be so close to them because you adopted their way and became very familiar with them through the knowledge that you acquired in this world. And so because of that, the great reward, some of the wise men of the past, they used to say, what have the ignorant gained and what have the knowing lost? Typically the ignorant ones are those that abandon knowledge for pursuits of other things. They leave off learning in order to pursue other things, whether that's entertainment, whether that's possessions, whether that's whatever it may be. So they have to you can't have everything in this world. You have to sacrifice things. And everything comes with a sacrifice. Sacrifice your time, sacrifice your wealth, sacrifice various things. And so those that remained ignorant, who kind of lost out on learning, those that have experience of this world and became wise, they said, what did they gain by losing knowledge? And then they said, and what did those who gained knowledge lose? Meaning a little bit that they sacrificed, some of the time, some of the pursuits of this world, and they ended up losing not much at all. Because by gaining knowledge, you have the potential to guide others to faith. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that whoever is able to guide others to Allah, be it one person, it is better for them than humur al-na'am, which were the prized red camels at the time, essentially better than anything of this world. That you could guide one person through what you learned is better than everything in this world. And seeking knowledge is also a means to obtaining Allah's forgiveness. The Prophet ﷺ was reported by Ibn Abbas to have said that whoever teaches mankind righteousness, then every creature on earth will seek forgiveness for them, including the fish in the sea. So it was asked, what does that mean for the fish to seek forgiveness for the teacher? And the response is that the benefit of that knowledge, the benefit of the knowledge that the teacher gives encompasses everything, including the fish in the sea. The scholars, they became aware with their knowledge of what is permissible and what is impermissible, what is halal and what is haram. And then they encouraged and advised people to be benevolent to everything, including the animal that they're going to slaughter and eat. Right? So the scholar is the one that comes and clarifies the manners of slaughter. And you say, you have to sharpen the blade, you should hide it from the animal, you should not torture it, you should not torment it, but you should make it swift and clean. You should be merciful to even the animal you're going to consume. And so it's the scholars that advise mankind to be benevolent to the creatures of this realm, including the fish. And for that reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has inspired all of them to seek forgiveness as a reward for what they contribute to this life. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the likeness of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent him with of guidance and knowledge is like rain that descends from the heavens onto the earth. And there's 3 categories here, or 3 types of earth. He says a group of them, they receive the water, and from that they grow grass and various herbs. And then there's solid ground that the water falls upon, and that solid ground, it collects and pools the water together, and they're able to benefit others. They come and they drink from the water. And they take that water and they use it to water their crops and vegetation. And then there's a third type, which is barren land. It does not receive the water. It does not pool the water. It does not grow anything from that. So the first type are those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses with understanding of the religion. And he benefits them with that understanding. And then he sends them out spreading that knowledge, learning and teaching. And this encompasses the first and the second type. The last one, which was the barren land, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the person that does not raise their head to knowledge, they don't give it any credence, they don't give it any time, they don't give it any attention, they do not accept the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet with, they turn away. So the author here, Ibn Qudama, he says, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon you. When you look at this hadith, you can see exactly how it applies to us. It applies to our communities in such a way. He says that the fuqaha, the scholars of jurisprudence, are those that possess understanding, fahm. They've been granted fahm. And they're like that parcel of land that receives the water and then grows vegetation, grass and various herbs. Because they teach and they help people understand, and they spread that knowledge and the benefit. And then you have those that simply transmit knowledge. These are like the scholars of hadith that did not have any real understanding. They just narrated hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hadith. And these, they do have knowledge with them in terms of being able to spread. So they're like the solid land that pools the water, and others, they benefit from them. As for the people that they hear, but they don't learn anything, right? You're the type of person that they sit in lessons, or they come to the khutbah, or they whatever, but they don't take any lesson from it. They don't learn from it. Then this is like the average Joe, the common person that pays no credence to such things. And the great Imam al-Hasan, rahimahullah, he said, if it were not for the scholars, then people would end up being like animals out to pasture, just grazing the earth. Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he said, ta'allamul ilm, seek knowledge. فَإِنَّ تَعَلُّمَهُ لِلَّهِ خَشْيَةٌ. Learning knowledge and gaining knowledge is reverential fear. Seeking it is worship. So just the act of learning is an act of worship. And then also studying it is a way to glorify and venerate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To seek out knowledge and to look for it is a type of jihad, a type of exerting oneself. And then teaching it is a form of sadaqah. By teaching someone, it's a type of charity. By expending knowledge on the family, it is an act of qurbah, drawing near to them, joining family ties. Knowledge is a friend when you are alone, and it is a companion when you are isolated. The great Ka'b, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired or communicated, if you will, to Musa alayhi salam. And he says, "O Musa, learn righteousness and teach it to people, for I will illuminate the graves of the teacher and the learner of righteousness, so that they will not be alone in that place."